Okay, so now we're going to take a look at how to set up our SSL with our Pantheon account. So to do that, we're going to be on our live environment, and we're going to click on domain/SSL. And in there, you're going to see some information. At the bottom there, you're going to see add a custom domain name. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in the domain name of our actual e-commerce store. This is again the live one. So you might be using www here. We're going to use store.codekarate.com.
And in this section, you could also just put, if you had just a normal domain name, it could be codekarate.com, and you could also check this box so it would also add www automatically for you. But in our case, we are using store.codekarate.com.
Yep. So now once we get that, we're going to click on the Add Domains to the Live Environment button.
And here it's going to tell you to update your DNS records, and we'll go through that here in a little bit. But basically what this does is you have to tell GoDaddy or whoever wherever you purchased your domain name at, how to actually point that domain name to this hosted site. But we were going to get up until this point, and then we are going to look at the SSL option. So click the SSL option up here.
And from there, we want to enable our SSL. So we're going to turn that on. And now this is where we need to add our certificate that we previously generated.
And keep in mind here, it says SSL costs $30 per month per environment. So, and it does have information on getting an SSL, but you already have that. So here's where we need to paste in the certificate, the intermediary certificate, and then the private key. So let's go through these steps. And to do that, as we mentioned before, log into your GoDaddy or wherever you purchased your SSL certificate, and you'll want to download your SSL certificate. And for this, you're going to want to select Apache as the option, if it does give you an option, and click download zip file. This is going to give you a zip folder. Okay, so now that we are inside the folder that we have extracted, we're going to start by opening this first CRT, not the bundle. And this is going to open a certificate viewer. We don't want that. We want to actually open it up with a text editor. So find your text editor. In Linux it's called, or in Ubuntu it's gedit, but in Windows it'll be Notepad. In Mac there's a
text edit.
Edit. So you'll find your text editor and you'll want to open it with that. And here you're actually going to copy this certificate. So just do a right click and copy or Control C. And you will now come back and paste the certificate in right here. And you're going to do the same thing with this intermediary certificate. And that's the bundle. So you're going to open with your text editor. And this one may be a little longer, as you can see. There's a lot more information here. But you're going to want to select the entire thing, copy that using Control C or right click and select copy, and paste that into the intermediary certificate. Now this private key, that is what was created when you actually created that CSR, that certificate signing request. So you're going to want to find the folder that you stored that file in, and it will be in this .key file. So we want to open that up with a text editor and copy the entire key file, and you want to paste that into this RSA private key field. Now we click this Add Cert button, and this is going to turn on SSL and install your certificate. And this could take a little bit of time. So while we're waiting, we're actually going to install a new Drupal module that's going to allow us to enable this SSL or the HTTPS on our live site.
So to install a module, if you remember, we need to go to our... actually, let's first look at the module. So the module we're looking at is a module called Secure Pages. And you can read more about this module, but the premise behind this module is to allow you to use SSL on your website. So you can read about more information there on the page. But again, to install the module, we just want to again copy the Drupal 7 version and get the path. So we're going to copy that path. And then we're going to go back to our development site. So as you can see in the URL, it says dev dash, and very important that you're on the development site. And then go into your modules. And from your modules, then you can select to install a new module. And then, just like we've done in previous videos, we'll paste in the path and install. So once that gets installed, we want to go ahead and enable that module. Again, this module is called Secure Pages.
And we'll just go ahead and show you that you can enable it. But because we're not going to ever have SSL on our dev site or our test site, we're not actually going to turn this on. But it's important that it's here. That way when it gets to our live site, we can actually go into our modules page on our live site and turn this module on. So in most cases, you'll want your installed modules to be the same on your dev and your live site. But in this is the one rare case where, because it is something that's only ever going to be only ever going to exist on your live site, we're just going to leave this off on our development website.
So now if we go back to our Pantheon account and look at the SSL information.
And it should say that it's enabled, and it says you can update your SSL certificate, which means that it has been completed. So it should now be ready to go. So the next step we would have to do is we actually have to update our domain to point us in the right direction. So point our domain name to the right IP address. And so in order to do that, you're going to want to make sure you pull up your domain name, and if you're using GoDaddy or whatever you're using, you should be able to log in to your account and find your domains. And there should be an option to manage your domain name. So once you get into your domain name, if you're on GoDaddy, it will look like this. If you're on another site, it'll be a little bit different. But the important part is to go to your DNS zone file. And you have to keep in mind that we're using store.codekarate.com as our actual e-commerce store. You may be using your full domain name and not have anything in front of it like we are going to have. So you'll want to come back into your Pantheon account, and here it's going to tell you these fields for the different types of records that you're going to want. In this case, we're going to copy this IP address, and we're going to come back to our domain name, and we're going to create an A name record by clicking Add Record. And we're going to do store as the host, and then paste in the IP address that it points to. And we'll leave this at its default, and we'll go ahead and click Finish. And so now you can see the store option shows up here. If you are using your normal domain name, you'll keep this star and this @ sign, and you can edit those, and you paste the domain name there. And you may also want to add a www option, or you will want to add that and paste the domain or the IP address there as well. So yeah, you also want to make sure you click Save Changes. We can click that now. We're also going to need to add one more record here. So you want to copy this where the record is AAAA, or 4 A's. So we'll copy this option, and we will come back to our domain details, and we'll want to add this record as well. So we're going to add a record again, and we're going to select the IPv6 host option, or the 4 A's, and we'll do store as our host, paste in this long string of characters here, or I believe it's the IPv6, and we'll click finish. I clicked add another, but we can just close out of it, and you can see the store option is now there as well. So we're going to save changes, and now our DNS has been updated and is going to point to our live site. So now when we go to store.codekarate.com, it's going to take us to the same place that clicking on this visit live site is going to take us. The only trick is it does take some time. Sometimes it takes up to 2 hours or an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it can take as long as a day too. I mean, it usually won't take that long, about an hour or two, but it can take longer.
And so once we allow that time to pass, we'll continue on with this video and we will finish setting up our SSL.